gamers all around the high view. Today we are going to do China guide. Now, I said I haven't done Rus guide in a long time, but apparently I did do a Rus guide recently. But China guide, I am about 30% sure I haven't done China guide in forever. There are some builds that you've probably seen like a while back, like 1TC Zuginu push, and that's still like possible and viable. I don't have a guide on it. I think the 2TC China is still how most people play China, because it just scales so well with Song Dynasty, and you got Barbican, and it just works out pretty well. Now, I'm going to show you guys the kind of the process of, you know, what I'm thinking. And I'm going to show you two games. Both are against Malian, but I'm going to try to give you some pointers for the other matchups. One game is kind of like a normal game. The second game is going to be more of a how to deal with trade. So the second game I'll show you, the opponent went for a trade, and I know a lot of Chinese players struggle with it because that's one of the ways you can play against China. See, if you go trade, China goes to TC, you can kind of outscale them. So let's get to it. The first thing you will do is you will put all 6 villagers on wood, and you're going to put all 6 villagers on wood where the berries are. So if the berries were here, I would put these 6 villagers on this tree. If the berries were in the back here, I would put the 6 villagers on this tree, just to, you know, just get used to it, right? Now, before they drop off resources, you're going to make a mill here, and then put your sheep on that too. And this is like, if you're new to China, this might be hard to do the first time, but you'll get used to it. And once you place down the mill, all these villagers got 10 wood, as you can see. Then you're gonna inspire the mill that is building, and once the mill completes, they will actually drop off the wood with the 20% extra bonus. So if you supervise it, boom, 72 wood, from 60 to 72. So yeah, and do not shift click, like don't shift click mill into the sheep. You have to just click, and that's it. So this gives you 172 wood. You're gonna rally 7th villager onto the food. You're gonna build village right next to your food. The reason for that is if you ever get raided, you can instantly jump in. And then you're going to rally 8th villager on the wood in order to get 3 wood. You're always going to miss 3 wood exactly. So you're going to get 3 wood, and you're going to build a gold mine. Villages are always built next to your resources, okay? Don't build your villages like there. If you build a village, one next to the food, try to have one next to the gold, and then one next to the wood line. So whenever you get harassed, you can hop in a village and save your villagers. Once you chop the 3 wood, you deliver it to TC, and then you go into the gold mine. Now this is the... Honestly, I don't even remember the last build I did, how exactly it went, but this is the newest variation of this China opening and how you play it. Now you're going to have 3 on gold total, and you're going to have 3 on gold until you get Song Dynasty. And now we're going to be rallying onto the food once again. You don't want to go berries because sheep is higher gathering rate, so only go berries if you fucked up and you don't have any sheep. But always go sheep first. Now, whenever you have above 40 gold tax, try to take the gold, drop off, and send the guy back. You can use shift command for this, so you right click, shift click onto the TC once he picks it up, and then you shift click E for supervise back on the mill. Now, try not to do it like as they're about to drop off. You can see me kind of pick it up right when they all dropped off. This is something you can practice the higher you go. If you're like gold league, silver, or like plat, whatever, you don't need to time it super well. But if you're maybe higher, like diamond or conqueror, you should probably try to time this so you don't lose any food, right? Then you're gonna go back, supervise that thing again, and whenever you have 40 gold mill, you're gonna pick it up because that's gonna be a huge gold boost for you for now. Now this is the big part of China, and a lot of players don't do this too well. And that is, where do you place your Barbican? Now, if you're playing against passive civs, at this point, like, there's no real passive civs anymore. I feel like every civ is being aggressive, at least at high level. But If no one is usually being aggressive towards you, you can go Imperial Academy first and you can age up with 1 villager. And if you go Imperial Academy first, you're going to be building Barbican later with 4, okay? If you go Barbican first, you're going to build it with 2 villagers. The important part is, where do you put your Barbican? This is extremely, extremely, extremely important, okay? If you place your Barbican in a bad position, you can lose the game because of it. And Barbican is what wins you the games, or gives you the opening to win games. So where do you put your Barbican? Preferably, you want to hit up multiple resources. You want to protect not just one resource. Like, I don't want to put Barbican here, because that just protects food and tree line, but I have tree line in the back, right? So this would not be the best position, in my opinion. Although, I could put Barbican right here to secure stone and gold, and then I could do a big wall like here to secure this side. So there's an option like that. The thing is, if the opponent just breaks through the wall, your whole economy in the back is going to be exposed. The wood line, the deer, the berries, the boar, everything is going to be exposed. So you can do that, but it's a little too greedy. Like, you're trying to secure resources like here that you don't need to, because you already have stone and gold in the back. So you're just being too greedy. Placing Barbican on these deer is way too far away. And also you only get deer and stone, which is like whatever. So in my opinion, the best and the only possible spot for Barbican in this game is on deer right here. Why? Because it defends, semi-defends this wood line, it defends this wood line, it defends the back wood line, semi-defends the berries, gold and stone in the back. And eventually, when I do get a wall here, even if the opponent breaks through, I have a Barbican to still protect. Now, because I am playing against Malian, you also want to make sure they don't yoink your deer. So if you play against Malian and they go Pro Scouts, it's very good to have Barbican on a deer, because you can actually deny them from stealing it. So yeah, here we go. I'm sending 2 villagers and I'm still rallying onto the food because I want to get Imperial Academy fast as well. Boom, right there. And you can see that's going to protect till about here. So it's good range where opponent cannot poke around or do anything there. So it's going to be very, very hard to attack. I just dropped or just picked up 40 gold. Next time they drop, I'm going to go deliver that. I'm still mining gold. Now there are 2 options, and I've been kind of playing with the wheelbarrow variation recently. So there are 2 options. Option number 1 is the moment you hit 200 gold or 210-ish, you can pull these guys off of gold. But recently I've been trying to leave them on gold until I have 150 to get fast wheelbarrow with this Imperial Official. So you can do both, whichever one you like. You can, like I said, you can pull off now when you have 200 and build Imperial Academy, or you can, you know, leave them until you have enough for wheelbarrow, because you are working with a lot of villagers and your base is kind of big, right, all the way to tier. So wheelbarrow early will help you, in my opinion, quite a bit. Now, one time I saw a question like, doesn't getting wheelbarrow reduce the amount of gold you get from tax drop off? Yes, but at this point, it doesn't really matter too much. Okay, like, if you don't want to rush wheelbarrow with Chinese, like you don't want to go wheelbarrow first on, you know, straight away, but getting it around this point is more than fine, because you're not that dependent on tax gold anymore, and you're also gonna have barracks and yada yada. So you want to have 10 on food until you get Imperial Academy, which we do right now, and I'm gonna age up 3-4 workers is more than fine. Now, where do you put Imperial Academy? You usually want to put it to touch as many resources as possible, not gold and stone, because you're not going to be on those resources for a very long time. But maybe a better spot in this game actually wouldn't be here, it would be like here. I think this Imperial Academy would be way better, so I misplaced it here. It's not the biggest deal, but Imperial Academy does generate 100% extra tax gold from your buildings. So if you manage to catch the mill and the lumber camps, that's going to be a really good amount of gold extra that you're going to be getting. So don't underestimate that. So again, I should have probably placed it here. It would still reach the mill, but I went for it here. Now, from this point on, I like to leave about 6-7 workers on food. The reason for that is you're most likely going to get harassed, whether it's knights or Malian scouts or horsemen, or I don't know, like usually if you play Chinese, you know this already, like most civs are going to attack you. So the reason I like to leave 6-7 on food is in case the opponent is attacking, I can quickly make whatever production building I want right now, the moment I have wood for it, and I can, I can try to, build some units and defend. Now, one thing to note, the only civ where you should not be doing this in the Song Dynasty is English. Because if English ages up super quickly, the longbows can be coming right now. And if they're coming right now, your production might be too late and the game might snowball pretty fast. So my suggestion to you, if you're playing against English, get Imperial Academy first, then put a lot of villagers on wood, and then start producing units and get Song Dynasty a bit later. Otherwise, you might be in a situation where you're trying to chop wood and there's like longbows here, there's longbows here, there's longbows here, and it might get very awkward. What about French? For French, it doesn't matter, because even if French arrives now, or French Knight wouldn't be arriving now, it would be in production now. By the time they arrive, your TC will protect your food villagers, plus you can hop in this. You have Barbican to protect your food, and you can just get barracks from these trees, make 2 spears, and you're good to go. But English is a bigger problem because they're attacking from here. Other than that, you don't need to worry. You can go like this, exactly what I'm doing. So what is my goal right now? As you can see, I still am going on gold. Because I think I still went on gold this game to get wheelbarrow. So the Barbican finished. Now, one thing to note, you can use your Barbican to kill your deer here, by the way. So you can just click Barbican and right click the deer to kill it. You can't shift Q, but you can right click. And on the other side, you need to, no matter what civ you play against, you need to scout what your opponent is doing. China is one of the civs that gets the highest value from scouting, because it gives you the options. Like, okay, if opponent is also booming, I can make my second TC maybe on this deer pack, or I can make a TC on the boar. If the opponent is being super aggressive, then maybe you want to make a TC more defensive. So with China, it's kind of like you want to be as greedy as possible while taking no damage. That's how you should be playing. And scouting what your opponent is doing will allow you to do that. Now, if I was playing against, like I said, like a cavalry civ, which Malian is, I would go for spearman first, and I think I do go for spearman first. So you can see I got about 150 gold. I'm going to start wheelbarrow in a bit. There we go. And this is the variation of the build that I was talking about, where I get wheelbarrow. And I think it's quite decent because I really like wheelbarrow as an upgrade. Not economical, just being able to move around faster and maybe avoid raids and stuff like that is really good in my opinion. So now I'm just rallying onto the wood, and you want to have about 10 on wood, 9-10 on wood at this point, and then you want to go onto the stone. I'm going to make a barracks in a second, and because I'm going to be making spearmen and imperial officials, I added 2 more onto the food. China economy early game is pretty complicated. Again, if you've played China, you know. Because there's a lot of, like, for example, earlier I said you need 6 on food, but then I see stables, so I'm like, okay, I need to make spearmen and I need to make imperial officials. So I add 2 workers to be able to produce spearmen and imperial officials and villagers at the same time, because now my villagers are also producing faster. I'm making a barracks here, and obviously make your production buildings like barracks and archer ranges in the range of the Imperial Academy, because you also get tax gold from producing units. So right now we got 10 on wood. I'm supervising that. Second imperial official is gonna come out soon. I'm gonna pick up the gold from the mill and then go onto the stone. Now my scout's been scouting the whole time, like what he's doing. Does he have archer ranges? Does he not have archer ranges? what's going on. So knowing that he has scouts and only stables, I'm feeling pretty safe. The first thing I'm doing is covering my stone, because that is the only resource that is exposed right now. My wood line is safe. This is safe because I can just jump in the village if he goes there. The only exposed resource is this. And in a moment, I will realize that he is going for pro scouts, because I looked at these deer and they were, you know, starting to disappear. So what I did after is I put my spearman over here to make sure he doesn't yoink these deer. So you can see my resources right now, they're working pretty good. Now with this extra wood that you have, which you will have, you can always use to start making walls and to make it more complicated for your opponent to attack you. Now, I could have done a greedier wall and I could have done like a wall here, but I just wanted to play safe. The last thing you want to do is have the enemy cavalry run around your base, so I will wall off here too, because I don't want scouts to harass here, then go around and, you know, gotta chase them with spearmen all day. So there we go. And I think I spotted, yeah, I spotted an archer range. So the moment I saw the archer range, I built a tower right here. Why did I build a tower right here? Well, I got two options. Because now he's going tower, I can either make, you know, horsemen or Zugunu, in which if he goes javelin throwers, my Zugunu are gonna be shit. So I would have to go horseman, spearman, which is quite expensive. Or I could just make a tower, upgrade it with hand cannon slits, and then just try to get to castle. Now, I'm gonna wait for the TC to finish, and then I'm gonna tell you what to do after. So I'm missing some wood because I didn't make a tower, but I am getting the upgrade, and I'm putting the TC in this game right here. Why? Well, these deer are gone, so that's not an option. I can make a tower here on the gold to cover this whole side, right? So I don't need a TC here. But there is this space where he could sneak in around and be annoying in the wood line, or maybe harass this wood line later on. So I just figured this TC is gonna serve like a tower, right? And then it's gonna offer basically extra protection. So someone asked when I played this game, why didn't he harass more? And the thing is, where could he harass? Like, he can't go there, he can't go here, he can't go here without committing serious amount of units. So it's like a good China play is when the opponent has literally no place to attack but to run into Barbican or towers or whatever else. He goes here now, which I recognize is the only vulnerable spot. I'm going to get extra stone, I'm going to get a tower, and I'm just going to upgrade that, and then we are chilling. Now, the reason why in this game I am rushing to age up instead of fight is because your strongest unit for China in Feudal is the Zuginu, but against Malians they're pretty bad. And the reason why they're pretty bad is because of javelin throwers. They outrange them massively. So the whole Spearman Zuginu spam doesn't really work too well. And if you're going for horsemen, for example, against civ-like Malians, you will run out of food really fast because he took one of my deer packs and he can just make cows. So you don't want to commit to that kind of gameplay. So against some civs, you will want to age up to castle. Against some civs, you will have to make units. So the moment my TC went up, now this is the important part. If I was playing against an opponent that was all-inning me, like they're 1 TC and they're massing units and they're attacking me, I wouldn't try to rush castle, okay? I would commit fully to defending. So if you look at my worker split right now, it's 6-8, I have 1 on stone to upgrade this tower, and 24. Like, I'm trying to get to castle from this point on as fast as possible, because I don't think he can do any damage, so I don't need to make units, right? So if I was playing against maybe HRE that's looking to age up, I would do this exact same thing, maybe minus the towers, because HRE usually doesn't harass. If I was playing against like French or Rus or whatever, I would put probably about 5 on gold, 5, 6 on gold, in order to, you know, get my eco upgrades, get double broad axe, get wheelbarrow if you don't have it, survival techniques, fertilization, blacksmith upgrades, and most importantly to be able to produce Zuginu. And at this point you can see I am making my 4th Imperial Official right now. So I used 3 so far. You always want to have 1 Imperial Official go around to get the gold, right? You don't want to use all of them supervising. You always want to make sure 1 is going around picking up gold. And because this one is now going onto the gold, I'm going to make the 4th one to go around and collect stuff. You can see there's 260 gold in this mill because of Imperial Academy giving bonus taxes. Now, if I was playing, like I said, against an aggressive civ and I would need to make units, I still have the barracks. So the next plan of action would be put 5, 6 on gold, get the 4th Imperial Official, and then I would try to have like 15 workers on food, 15 on wood, and then like 5 on gold. And as the game progresses, I would rally 1 TC onto the food, 1 TC onto the wood. And you want to rally onto the wood until you have about 4 or 5 archer ranges and like 1, 2, 3 barracks plus blacksmith. After that, if you have too much wood, you can either start slowly making granaries and farms if your like food is not very accessible on the map, or you can just rally both DCs onto the food because you're going to need a lot of food if you're producing units. Now, if you're going for Spearman Zuginu, which is most likely something you will go for if you're fighting in Feudal, make sure to get upgrades like +1 weapons, especially for Zuginu, because it matters quite a bit. And what you want to do then is just defend, mass crazy amount of units. Only having 5, 6 on gold should be enough if you have Imperial Official going around collecting as well. And like eventually you will only need like, let's say 15 on wood once you've done all your production buildings and once you've done like the extra walls or whatever. And then you're going to have like at one point like 40 on food, 15 on wood, and 5, 6 on gold. And you will, as I like to call it, naturally be able to age up. What I mean by that is you will be producing workers, you're going to be producing units, and you will still have enough food to age up. Now, another thing is whenever you move to the next resource, try to move your Imperial Officials as well. This is something that is very crucial to playing China. And it's 20% extra resources, right? So it's a lot. It's not like a little bonus. It's a crazy bonus. So if I gather all of this and I go onto these berries, I want to have Imperial Official there. But you don't want to put like 2 Imperial Officials on food, 1 on wood, 1 on gold, because then you don't have 1 collecting. So right here, I have some workers on deer. So technically I'm not getting the 20% extra. That's all right, as long as majority of your villagers are under the Imperial Official. Because also one thing you need to be careful of is if you have all your villagers in the same spot as China, if that gets denied, you lose all food income. So if you're potentially playing against a harassment or attacking civ, it's okay to do this, like to split up workers. And from that point on, like if you're fighting in feudal, like I said, you mass Zuginu, you mass Spearman. If opponent ages up at any point, you can just cut production, attack them, and age up as well. Because if the opponent is aging up and you have all these units, you might as well push and try to do something. Because Zuginu are really, really strong even against castle units because of the way they attack, which is every time they shoot, they deal at least 3 damage. So they shoot 3 times 1 damage each if the target has too much armor. So they still do 3 damage per shot. So if you have like 40-50 Zuginu, you can melt castle men-at-arms or, you know, knights or whatever else. So now that I've covered the feudal side, if you're going to stay in feudal, like I said, at this point, you would have 5 on gold, 5, 6 on gold, you would have 15, 16, whatever on wood, and then you would have the rest on food. Make up your buildings or get your production up, pump out units, and as you need food, like for example, if I'm spamming units and let's say he's poking here, once these berries are done, I'm going to do like a wall here. Maybe get this boar, get the berries in the back. So you kind of need to secure your food sources as you go. And if you can't, you can also have 1 TC on wood, 1 TC on food forever kind of thing. And then whenever you have extra wood, just start building granaries and farms. Now in this game, my opponent did go for pro scouts into cow boom into fast castle. As you can see, he is slowly going to the castle. He has too much food right now, but he's gonna correct that in a moment. And I'm rallying both TCs here because I'm trying to get these berries, like, you know, completely depleted, because they're front berries, so I don't want him to attack into them later on and I gotta run and all that shit. So he's going with Farimba. He's going Farimba with cows, okay. So behind this, what do I want to do? Well, if you're aging up like this, what units do you want to make? Well, you want to make units that, like, based on what your opponent is going for. So if you're playing against a Knight Civ, you want to continue making Spearmen. If you were fighting in Feudal, you can switch to, like, you can upgrade your Zuginu, get your Blacksmith upgrades in Castle, and then switch to Crossbow Spearmen. Or you can go Palace Guard Spearmen as well. If they have a lot of archers, you can just go Palace Guards and then Crossbows. If you're playing against a Civ that doesn't have a cavalry, I mean, just start spamming Palace Guards. You can also use them to harass. You can go Knights as China, but honestly, Palace Guards do the same thing. They're very fast, and you can just harass with Palace Guards. They're also cheaper, and they will accomplish the same task. If you can go for Relics as China, you should. I think, in my opinion, if you get 2 Relics, that's pretty successful as China, because you will usually be the Civ that does not have the map control. So if you get 2 Relics, that's more than fine. Now, I think that no matter what Civ you play against, getting Astronomical Clock Tower as the first landmark is very important in Castle. And then getting a Nest of Bee or 2 will help you out so much, because it makes it so hard for your opponent to engage into you because of Nest of Bees. And then they either have to go Springled, or they gotta try to snipe it somehow. And, you know, if you defend it well with your infantry, your Nest of Bees will be safe. So at this point, this is kind of like, in a way, the maybe not now, maybe in about like few minutes, is the hardest part for China. And that is when you're running out of food and the opponent is attacking you, which is why you gotta be careful to slowly transition into granaries. As you're aging up to Castle, you want to have about 13 to 15 villagers on gold. So the moment I started aging up, I rallied both my TCs onto gold until you have 13 to 15, because you're going to get a lot of stuff. You're going to get monks, Nest of Bees, blacksmith upgrades, unit upgrades, you know, crossbows, palace guards, so you will need gold. And around this point, if you float a lot of gold before that, you can get this earlier, Imperial Examinations for extra gold for Imperial officials. But if you did not float a lot of gold, you can get it around this time, because this mill will pay off for the upgrade pretty quickly, because you will usually have shit ton of gold in the mill. So against Malian, what I'm doing is I'm going for extra barracks, because Malian will most likely go for like Archer Sofa, in which case if I go Palace Guards, Spearmen and Nest of Bees to take care of the archers, that's gonna be perfect Unicom for me. And because I'm playing against Malians that usually goes for archers with poison arrows, I get +1 under Iron Mesh first, and I might get +2 next as well. Now I'm gonna speed up the rest of the game. I kind of gave you the little, you know, input on how to do stuff, what to do. And I'm going to show you the next game where the opponent goes for trade, where I feel like it's a lot harder to play against as China. So in this game, I go for monks, and like I said, my goal is 2 relics, so I managed to secure 1 on the middle, and then the second one I managed to secure as well with some units. And now the important part is, if you're playing against some of the weirder civs that can like go for multiple unit comps, it's very important for you to scout. So Malians is one of those civs that can go for so many different things. And what do I see? I see a lot of Musafati warriors, and this is becoming the meta recently from Malian. Malian goes for a lot of Musafati warriors, because you usually go for spearmen and palace guards. which they both actually get beaten by Musafati warriors. So the moment I saw that, because I just saw them killing my my monk here and a few units, I saw 10 of them, so I'm like, okay, he's producing Musafatis. Technically, you can deal with them with Nest of Bees, but the safest option to go against Musafati warriors is going to be just mass Zugunu. They absolutely melt them because Musafatis have no ranged armor, so they absolutely get wrecked by them. So immediately I get Steeled Arrows upgraded, I'm going to get the second one too. And I'm just trying to survive the onslaught. Now, depending what civ you play against this China, you can be more aggressive or more passive. Malian versus China in the late game is very China favored, so I'm not really rushing to like, oh my god, I gotta counterattack or I gotta do some damage. I don't need to. I can just literally sit in my base whole game and eventually my army is just better. So here he goes for harassment. I get some decent shots. It's a lot of damage. Meanwhile, on the other side, like I said, I'm using Palace Guards to harass a little bit. You're just buying yourself time. Like, all these harassments that I'm doing, not only that I'm harassing, but I also just saw there's 25 Musafati warriors. So I'm trying to wall off, full wall eventually, because you don't want to be open from any side, because you don't want to be open for harassment. And I'm just chilling. I decide to go for a granary here. The reason I'm deciding to go for granaries here instead of like maybe here or there is because there's no resources on this side of the map, if you notice. Like, there's not much going on here, right? I have gold here, I have big stone, I have berries, I have boar, I have woodline. So, because I have Barbican here as well, I figured I can just do a stone wall and completely secure that area and just put my food there, because I don't want my food sources to be harassed at all. He comes in here, but again, it's a distraction, and I think he gets like 2 villagers and he loses everything, which was definitely not worth it. Now Musafatis are coming. You can see the villagers, the villages being next to the gold. Insta save him. He doesn't kill any. My units arrive. And the attack gets completely stomped. Now, someone might be like, why did the opponent commit so much? Like, he didn't need to. Well, he didn't, but he did. You know, he's playing against China. He can't just sit back and do nothing. And that's kind of the advantage of China. Like, people have to do something before it snowballs too hard. And if you look at the worker count already, it's a destruction. Like, yes, he has cows, sure, and he has pit mines, but if you look at the income, it's gonna only get worse and worse for him. And I also have Imperial Official here. I have Imperial Official on gold. It's coming right here. And I have Imperial Official on stone. So at this point, you don't need Imperial Official on food, okay? You just need on wood, stone, and gold. And then one guy, just let him roam around and collect stuff. So right now, I have 14 Zugunu. I have a lot of Nest of Bees. I got a lot of Palace Guards. I'm adding more production. I don't want to fall behind on units or anything like that. I'm getting some Springolds. And overall, you know, feels pretty good. I make a keep at the front just to have a like a defensive point so I can push from. Yeah, so the Nest of Bees do a crap ton of damage. I do a keep here. He's trying to harass, he's trying to go around, but with spears, I secure the keep. I push his gold, and at this point, it's kind of like a death push. If you look at the supply, it's 200 versus 110. And technically, he didn't, like, sure, he could have, you know, done the push here maybe better, not lose as many units, but he didn't do anything wrong. It's just what the game looks like if you play China, like, properly, and you don't take any damage. The game just kind of looks like this, where it's a destruction. Boom. And I also built Great Wall Gatehouse here because that's where a lot of my resources are, so I just wanted to, again, not risk, secure a win. He goes for a push here, and it does not work out. I have too many units, and that's gonna be it. Now, let's go to the second game where I'm playing against trade, because I want to show you how to deal with trade. This has become a more popular. I'm not sure how it is on like every single level, but at the high level, trade has been like one of the solutions how to deal with booming China, except just all-inning them, obviously, which can also work. And that is just going trade, and basically if China goes 2 TC Song, the enemy will establish trade and out-boom you completely with the amount of gold they're going to be getting. So a lot of people panic maybe sometimes too much, and they try to all-in super quickly, and then they lose and the game ends. So I'm not going to go through the build again. I'm just going to go through the my thought process as I'm playing against trade. Now, first thing, if you're playing against Abbasid trade, you need to immediately do the Zhuginyu Song Dynasty all-in, okay? You cannot go 2 TC against Abbasid trade. And the way you can see Abbasid trade is through the, their wings. If you see trade wing, then you need to not go 2nd TC, and you need to make like 4 archer ranges, 5 archer ranges, 1 barracks, and you need to just mass units and attack. If you go 2 TC against Abbasid, their trade is too strong, and it comes online too quickly for you to wait and deal with it later. Plus, Abbasid is a very strong civ in the late game, so if it does reach the Imperial and they have trade, you will lose. If you're playing against Malian, like here, you will see that it's not that urgent and you don't need to deal with it right away. And if you also play against Mongol trade, in my opinion, it's not that urgent for you to need to deal with it immediately, because their Keshiks are not that strong. Keshiks are also not that strong, so it's not like massing Lancers that you're gonna just die. And, Mongol is also not a civ that's that strong in the late game. So just like Malian, even if they have trade and you enter late game, you can still fight. Obviously, you want to contest it, but it's not the end of the world. So, in this game, I didn't know that my opponent was going to go trade, obviously. So I was looking, where do I put Barbican? Now, this front deer is in a pretty bad spot. If this was gold, like one of these was gold, this would be okay spot for Barbican, because I would get deer, safe wood line, I get vision into the forest, and I would get stone and gold. So that would be pretty good Barbican. And it's in the front, so you get some like map control and stuff. So that would be pretty good Barbican. The boar, obviously, is way too far away, so that's not an option. And then the third option, which is the best option, is on this deer pack, which is pretty... I mean, it's kind of far away from my town center. It's a second deer pack as well. But I get gold, I get big stone, I get berries, I get deer, I get this gold, kind of, and it secures that part of the map where it gives me a lot of vision into the stealth forests. And like I said, you usually want a Barbican on food sources. And it's also indirectly protecting the berries in the back, right? So, I go for Barbican there. And I think, oh yeah, this is where I saw Saharan Trade Network. And I was very surprised, because if you want to go trade, why not just put it like here or here? Because if you go past the Saharan Trade Network, you also get a lot of food. But whatever. So I saw that he went for this landmark, and now I am scouting like what he's doing and all that. And eventually I do see markets, which I'm going to show you. There we go, I'm going with the 2nd TC. Let me check. Yeah, I did check the corner, and I didn't see markets yet. I check over here, I see he's not mining gold. I saw the stables. And I saw the mill, so I knew there's a potential pro scouts. I think I go for it again here, and I see markets, and I'm like, okay, he's going trade. Cool. So, what is my goal here? Well, there's a lot of ways to deal with this. I could have just gone for 2nd TC and then started making units and attacking. I could also, against Malian and Mongol, I could also go 2 TC, make 5 spearmen, and do the castle rush like the previous game, and then went with palace guards to try to deal with his army. What I did is something you can do as well. The only thing you need to be careful of is where the enemy scouts are. I saw that his first scout is on my scout, and I see the second scout, right? So I know he has no vision on this side of the map. And if you look, he has no vision on this side of the map. And I knew that, because both scouts are here. Now this is a bit of a, like a, you know, high level decision. But in low leagues, people are not going to be active with scouts, so you can always try and do this, right? So, I sneak in 2 villagers. I'm going to mine a little bit of extra stone. I got my second TC right next to my main TC. I could have actually placed this TC here, which was probably a mistake on my side. Now that I look at it, it didn't impact the game, but you know, if I could redo the game, I would probably do this TC on this deer pack right here, just to get the second deer pack secured. But I go all the way around here. I make a wall first, and then I just tower his market. At the same time, look at that village on the gold. And I'm also going to wall off the top market because I don't want him to trade on the top side, because I have no units to contest it right now. So I finish the wall. I go for double tower here. And yeah, he's got warrior scouts, but I got a couple of spearmen again, just like the last game. And now I'm going to go for the castle rush again with a little cheeky tower. Now, I could have also went for aggression in feudal, but like I said, I don't like fighting in feudal as Chinese against Malians because of javelin throwers. So I prefer to kind of put some kind of dent into the trade, or, you know, be annoying, and then go castle into palace guards. So I'm upgrading my tower. He actually reacted pretty quickly. Like the moment he saw, he went blacksmith, and he got what's it called? He got siege engineering very, very quickly. So he reacted like almost immediately. Yeah, there's a siege engineering to break the towers. He loses the trade, and now the trade is stopped, right? He is producing traders, but the trade is stopped. And I'm slowly getting to castle. I also got a little bit of extra stone to upgrade him, just to be a little extra annoying. And now my villagers are all mowing down the food. I walled off this side of the trade, which he didn't even attempt to trade, but, you know, safety, right? And, yeah, so this was like the fastest possible response he could have gotten. Here I'm target firing the traders to try to kill them. But this did delay his economy, and if you look, he should be actually close to aging up right now. But look at how many units he's making. He's making donzos, he's committing to units, because he can't just kill this with one ram, because he doesn't have perfect scouting. Like, if he didn't make donzos and I come in with horses and I just kill the ram, then it's even more delaying everything. Meanwhile, because his army is at the bottom, and I obviously see it, I'm just destroying a couple of houses here. Again, just distracting him as much as possible, right? The moment he comes here, I think I'll run away. I lose my scout, which is really bad. And the clock tower is coming up, and look at that. Destruction. I'm going for 6 barracks, because my goal now is to just mass palace guards. Which is what I do. I'm going to get my upgrades as usual. But I wasn't aware that he has this many barracks. So he instantly goes for Musafati warriors. Which, I don't know if you know, but Musafati warriors from feudal age will actually do really well against palace guards. So, in a moment, the Musafati warriors will start arriving, and I cannot fight this anymore. Like, he will actually beat my army, even though he's feudal. So instead, what I do is I just start running my palace guards around. They're faster than his units, so I just run palace guards into the trade. I'm getting the relics. In this game, I wanted to get all 5, because he is so far behind on castle. And if he ages up, he's not going to be trying to get relics first, right? He's going to try to protect the trade, and he doesn't need relics because he's trading. So, I'm trying to get all 5 relics. I'm booming just as usual. As you can see right here, 15 workers on gold, like I told you in the last game. And the moment I saw Musafati warriors, once again, I went for Zuginu. I'm trying to kill his scouts whenever I can. Killing scouts on high view is always really, really good. because, you know, they lose so much vision. Now this guy, I don't know why he didn't pick up the relic, but look at him, idiot. So yeah, I'm harassing wherever I can. I'm getting my relics. I'm mowing down the food over here. Overall, feeling pretty good. I wall off my side of the map. And right now, if you look at economy, it's, what is it, 77 versus 92. And, how many traders does he have? He has 28 traders, which is a serious amount, right? That's not a low amount. That's a good amount of traders right now. So, if this was Abbasid, I'm dead, okay? If this was Abbasid, I am dead already. Because Abbasid gets food and gold from their trade, which is broken. And right here, you're about to see a destruction, and you're about to see Zuginu at work. If you look at his army, it's quite a big army. And I have, like, what is this? 12 Zuginu. His whole army is, like, completely melted. I think in a moment I start transitioning to granaries because I'm about to run out of resources. I go for a little counterattack here, because why not? I got my nest of bees, which again makes a big problem for the opponent. I pick all these off, and I'm not trying to, you know, I'm not trying to lose everything. And because I got stone now, there's the granaries coming. Because I got the stone, the best thing you can do against trade, especially as China, is to just keep on their trade. Now, keeps with other civs are pretty crap because they just like arrows and they can kind of get taken down pretty easily. But Chinese keeps are still very strong. And even though he reacts immediately, it's not fast enough. The keep is already like in place. And now all I need to do, even if I lose all these units, right? If I stay here for about 2-3 minutes, I'm gonna be in a really good spot because one of his resources gets completely cut off. So I go for a tower, I go for sprinkled upgrade, I'm gonna go for another keep here. Even if I lose them, like I said, it's completely alright. And you can see he's kind of trading better, he's killing my army. But Chinese keeps, like I said, are really fucking strong, even without boiling oil. So yeah, and now the trade is completely stopped. Look at all these idols. Like this is not just like 34 workers. Traders are like really good. So this is like double that basically. Behind this, I'm transitioning to a lot of food. I got way too much gold, as you can see. And I'm starting to stonewall the map because again, I'm playing against Malian, so if this game goes to Imperial, even if he trades and gets gold, it's gonna be probably more than fine for me. He goes for the keeps, and like I said, he's losing so many units to the keeps because it's double keep too. I take some palace guards to harass on this side. Again, just buying myself time to fully wall the map with stone walls and to force that, you know, super late game. I went for Great Wall Gatehouse again on my granaries, which I really like doing. You can also use, I could have technically also done a Great Wall Gatehouse here, which would be really good to protect these golds and then push again onto the trade. But I decided to go for a safer option. I finished the age up. And now, if you look, his economy is so screwed, right, that he's got almost nothing, right? He should be floating like thousands of gold, but he needed to mine gold with, how many workers is this? 21 workers just to support his economy. So his economy is like, was in a pretty bad spot. Now it's like reset, it's back to normal. But if you look at the worker count, 132 versus 114. And, you know, 20% resources on top of wood, stone, and gold is pretty good for me. So now the only thing that's left is to push and try to, you know, end the trade. I don't need to kill his base. I don't need to do anything. I just need to end the trade. Whenever you play against trade opening, that should always be your priority to shut down. Here I go for the Omega Keep. I lose a couple of workers, but that's fine. The keep is up, and now I can just go there and fight. I got Siege Workshop. I'm gonna get a Bombard to destroy the keep. And now, because he can't age up, he's nowhere near to aging up because of all the trade interruptions. I'm so far ahead. If you look at the economy, 2.4k to 1.2, 1 point make it 3k versus 950. He has 3.8k gold, sure, but that just came in. That hasn't been the case this whole game. And right now my gold income is pretty bad because I just put some workers here. But if I get this down, I can take these 2 golds and this stone pretty easily. Because if you look, I have 2.4k stones. I can just make like 3 more keeps here. And with the amount of Nest of Bees I have, he's nowhere close to having any siege army. Plus I have Imperial Siege as well, which is a lot better. If I go Spring on range, he's got nothing here. And he knows he's gonna die because these are also Imperial Spearmen and Imperial Palace Guards. So there it is. In the end, if you can ever extend the game as China and go into Imperial, that's going to be good for you. So I'm not saying always try to go into Imperial, but that is your strength. And China is actually very good in Feudal and Castle. Now, the hardest part of China, if you're wondering like why aren't people just spamming China if it's that good? Well, to learn to the point where all your resources are covered and you're not taking damage and you're transitioning properly is the hardest part of China. It's not microing your army. Microing your army is pretty, you know, the easier part of China. The harder part is not only macro and using your imperial officials correctly, but also like knowing when to transition to granaries, knowing where to put your defensive structures and stuff like that, which takes a lot of experience to learn. And it's not just like, oh, this is where you put Barbican, because a lot of it depends how the map spawns. So you gotta kind of decide in the moment. Like every game is a new game, and you only learn where to put your Barbicans through a lot of experience. Sometimes your Barbican is gonna be just outside of range of something. You'll be like, oh, if I put it a little bit to the left, I would have been fine. But yeah, try playing China. I think it's a lot of fun. Once you get the defense down, it also feels very frustrating playing against China if you can't break them, because it feels like there's nothing you can do about it. And then people kind of dent into you and attack into you and lose too many units because of that. So yeah, that's going to be it. I hope you enjoyed this little China guide. Again, it's not so much of a build order update because China has not really changed. Like, there are some things that changed in early opening for China, but it's not like this completely new build or completely new unit comp. It's more so, you know, the thought process behind it and you know, how to play it and how to use your units that has improved massively for China. Because China also has had some changes in terms of balance, but nothing that changed the way the interaction between units and economy works. So that's it. If you're watching this on YouTube, thanks so much for watching. Appreciate you. I hope you learned something new today. Check out my all other guides. I have guides for French, Rus, English, Malian, and probably some more stuff. I got Ottoman guides, whatever you need. And I'll be making Malian Cow Boom guide. Oh, I also made Delhi to TC guide. But I still need to do, oh yeah, I have Mongol guide as well. I still need to do Abbasid guide and Malian Cow Boom. That's it, actually. Those are the last 2 remaining. So yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, thanks so much for watching. Check me out on Twitch. I'm probably live right now. If you're watching on Twitch, let's keep going.